Welcome back to the Dev Mentor Dave channel here on YouTube and on Twitch, streaming live to both locations, unless you're watching this later on YouTube, in which case, welcome. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, all the things that all the content creators want you to do. Just do all the things. Make us happy. I would say make us money, but I don't make any money off of this, so make us happy. How's that? Make us feel good. that's the more important part, quite frankly. And hopefully, whatever we end up talking about today will make you feel good, or at least give you something interesting to think about, or argue about in the comment section, or even on the live chat. If you're watching live on Twitch or live on YouTube, feel free to jump in to the chat and let me know if you have a question that you would like for me to answer about something that you're dealing with. We call this the Workday Recap here, Mondays through Fridays, most Monday through Fridays on at 4 o'clock to 4:30, just a short 30-minute live stream, just to kind of catch up on the day, see what's going on in your world, anything that might have happened in my world. Sometimes we'll jump on LinkedIn. So lots of different things that we could do or that we could discuss. So feel free to jump in the chat and join the conversation. We do have the chat on YouTube that is available, and then also we have the chat on Twitch, which Ming is already blowing up with comments. So welcome, Ming. Good to see you. Glad you are here on the live stream. Let's see. Youthful Grandpa Dave. Yep. Yeah, no, don't make me do push-ups. That's not going to happen anytime soon. And if it does happen, it certainly will not be recorded and loaded up on this channel. So there you go. So yeah, if you do have something like a comment, or if you have a question or something that you want to discuss, do at DevMentorDave in the chat, and that'll just be easier for me to see, and I can call it out and respond hopefully appropriately. So actually, I was playing around doing some looking at LinkedIn here, and let me see if I can find it up. I thought this was relevant to some of our recent conversations. Yeah. So this statement: if it takes a company 7 rounds of interviews to hire you, it means they have a problem, not you. And that is 100% true. I completely agree with that. Let's see what else they have to say. Hey, Clawhammer, good to see you. Let's see. It's a signal that they need to reevaluate their hiring process. 100% agree. Time is precious, and so is talent. Efficiency matters, and a smooth process benefits both parties. I think this is a really important point, that efficiency matters. I'm going to increase the screen size here so you guys can actually see what we're doing. Efficiency matters, and if you are going to work for a company and they are not efficient in their hiring practices, that's typically a bad sign that they're probably not efficient in other areas. And so that's a good litmus test, right? If they're efficient in their process and their communication and things like that from a hiring standpoint, that bodes well for the way they are as a company. Not necessarily a guarantee, but it bodes well. So if it's feeling more like a saga than a hiring journey, it might be time to reassess the match. It's not you, it's them. Absolutely. I completely agree with that. And we've talked about that before. Oh my goodness. Why do we have all the comments? There we go. Wow. Hopefully you didn't get sick with that. Ming says, have you ever heard of a boot camp that is partnered with a large organization that offers traineeship plus learning as paid, then further training from the company for a junior role? I think there is one that I've heard of. Is it Launch Code? And there's probably others like this. Yeah. Launch Code on free tech training and job placement. So 450 employer partners hire from Launch Code. Let's see. I don't know if there's like a how it works. Hire talent. Service overview. Let's see. Career ready talent, custom training, upskilling your team. Blah blah blah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think launch code kind of does that. And I think what they typically do, I was looking to see if there's something on their website about how it works. It says we craft strategic solutions for all types of tech teams. Um, I think what happens, so don't quote me, but excuse me. I think what happens is they get like a commission, or they get even like part of your salary or something like that. Let's ask Claude. How does launch? Man, I cannot type. Launch code get paid. Since it's supposedly free. We'll see. Yeah, Clawheimer says it's a trap. They're funded through donations, grants, and partnerships rather than charging students. If you're asking to get paid, might get paid. So developers working on launching a startup might get paid through salary, blah, blah, blah. Something else entirely. How does launch? Well, I guess what is a typical arrangement for launch code graduates? Typical arrangement: graduates are placed in paid apprenticeships with partner companies. These are typically 3 to 6 months positions. Apprentices earn a salary during this period, not unpaid. They work on real projects. The apprenticeship serves. Many apprentices convert to full-time employees. Starting salaries for junior developers may vary by location. Companies get to try before they buy. Graduates gain removes. So the students don't pay for tuition up front. Like, does that mean they pay for it afterwards? Do students pay for tuition after they get a job? Never pay tuition. Huh, interesting. Grants, donations, employer fees. So yeah, this is the only company that I know of off the top of my head that does this. But yeah. So Ming says I applied for a role that offers that, and the hiring manager said they'll be in touch with me ASAP. They will teach Java, AI, cloud, and best practices to prep me for the junior role at the large organization. So yeah, it sounds something like this, possibly. So yeah, that's really cool. I mean, if you can get going back to Clawhammer's statement about it being a trap, right? Like if you can get into an opportunity like this, and they really do have the connections that they say that they have, it can be really a really great opportunity for you. Especially, I would think they would want to take somebody like you who already has a bunch of experience and a bunch of learning, but is willing to take a junior role, right? Show that you are career ready, you have the skills, and just get you connected. So I don't know. Again, I don't know like what the success rate is. I don't know if that's something we could even pull up. What is the success rate for launch code graduates? We'll see what we see. No current success rates. Trying to find some more. They state 75% of their graduates enter the tech industry. That's pretty good. Often reach 6 figures within 5 years. Cool, interesting. So I don't know. Maybe even check out LaunchCode. I've heard of LaunchCode before. I don't know if they're Are they a Kansas City company? I'm trying to figure out why I know them outside of maybe just like work here. Where's here? Let's see. 12 paid holidays. Woohoo. Um, yeah, I don't know. For some reason, I thought this was like a local company. I could be wrong. Uh, yeah, I don't know. Maybe check out something like Launch Code. Um, I don't know what yours is that you're looking at, and it may be different too, depending on where you are in the world as well. What kind of access you have to that. But this specifically, like this is based off of grants and things, so it's not. They're able to do it without charging tuition, so that's kind of cool. Let's see. Principal engineer friend graduated from there. Okay, nice. Well, that's good that you can see that there's already been some success through that program, so that's good. I am interested to know kind of what their requirements are for you to even join. Um, and again, for those that are watching that may not know what we're talking about, Ming is looking for a job and he's got an option at a boot camp here. Not this one specifically, but he was asking me if I knew any similar to that, and this one popped in my head just from research I'd done in the past. So, most of my interviews have been mid-level. Yeah, that's what Clawhammer was saying. I mean, as much stuff as you know and have experienced, I think mid-level development probably is really where you want to be. Oh yeah, we're looking at LinkedIn stuff. Let's see. This is just such a crazy statement right here. $200,000 in San Francisco is below poverty. What is the poverty line in San Francisco? Cisco. Yeah, California's horrible. This is why I love the Midwest. Midwest is cheaper. You don't get as high level pay, but it's a lot cheaper to live in. Federal poverty lines. I don't want that. A single person household. San Francisco much higher threshold for low income based on area median income. For 2025, a single person household earning up to 109,000 and a two-person household earning up to 125,000. That's not a lot of difference for two people. Classified as low income in San Francisco. So I don't know that 200 is quite right, but yeah, that is something, when you're negotiating salaries, right? You need to consider where you live, what you actually need. This is something don't you know, one of the workflows that I tell people to walk through is make sure that you are thinking about what the thinking about what your actual costs and needs are, and making sure that when you're getting that dream job or your first job that it's going to actually pay the bills. One of the things about the job that we do is that it's very time consuming. It's very draining mentally. And so I want to encourage people as much as possible, if you can get hired in a job that pays all of your bills, uh, I would encourage you to take that. If you absolutely just have to get into the industry and you're willing to work other jobs, that's fine. You can take a lower paying job, but I generally recommend not just taking any job to get you in the industry. You need something that's going to cover your expenses and things like that. So this is just a good call out, a good reminder that you need to know what it actually costs to live where you live. And um, that was one of the problems that I had early on, is I was barely making enough money for us to survive. In fact, I had a little bit of money coming in on the side from working for my brother part-time still, and that eventually dried up, and that's when I had to go to my boss and ask for a raise, because I was making from them, I was making well below what I just needed to live, right, as a family. And honestly, what I was making then, really, we lived off of it, but we were on some very simple programs with the government. We were not on welfare completely, but we were definitely under the poverty line in Kansas City. So and a lot of that's because one, I didn't know what I was worth. I was worth more. Looking back, I know that I was worth more. In talking to other people, I knew that I was worth more over time. But that's really important. Don't just take a job because you want to have that job. And as much as it all worked out in the end. I think in many ways I wanted that job, but I was able. I was. I wouldn't say mistreated. I wouldn't say that. They made an offer and I accepted. Right at the end of the day, that's my decision, and I think we have to realize that and understand that if you are not willing to work for a lower amount of pay, don't take the job. Companies are going to do what's best for them, and there's nothing wrong with that. They're going to try to get the most for the least amount of money. So that's just good business. And so I just want to encourage you, though, to count the cost as you're looking at salaries and things like that. Not just how much you're going to be making doing the job, but also just make sure that you are aware of what your actual expenses are. So as you're thinking through whether that's enough, and there's plenty of websites out there that will help walk you through. Like, I mean, all you have to do is you probably actually do it in here. Let's ask Claude. Break down the taxes and paycheck amounts based on single individual earner earning, let's say $70,000 in KC, Missouri. Let's just see what it comes up with. I could go into a lot more detail, but like I'm sure you could probably even use something like this, right? So here's your federal income tax, Social Security, state taxes, total taxes 18,265. Take home pay bi-weekly if paid every 2 weeks. Weekly paycheck. Our company pays weekly. A lot of companies do. Companies pay the 1st and the 15th. It all just depends. So weekly paycheck of $9.94. So I mean, you can do some quick earnings off of this, right? You can get an idea of what your actual take-home pay is going to be. So you need to actually think through the process and decide, is this going to work, right? So I could come back in here. Let's say let's calculate my expenses and see if this salary will cover them. Ask me questions to get a full accounting. So I'm telling it to ask me questions, so hopefully it'll ask me the right questions to help answer whether or not I've got everything that I need to think through. So rent, we'll say rent is 750. Well, let's find out. What is average rent in KC Mo for a single person? Approximately $950 to $1,200 per month. Good grief. All right, so let's come back over here. We'll say rent is $1,000. Do you pay renters and homeowners insurance? Renters insurance. Let's say that's $25 a month. Utilities. Let's ask what is average utilities? Rent utilities. Nope. 200 to 300. Let's say 250. Utilities 250. Transportation. Do I have a car payment? Unfortunately, a lot of people do have a car payment. Let's say that's $350 a month. Groceries for a single person. Let's say what, $100 a week, so $400 a month. Let's see, groceries. $400 a month. So you could go through and talk through this. Let's see, restaurants. Let's assume they're probably going to spend as much at restaurants, quite frankly, in this day and age. No student loans. Let's assume no credit cards. Unfortunately, that's probably not true. We'll just give them that. $400, no way. Clawhammer might be onto something. What we have so far, 24, 25. Car insurance, gas, yeah, some more things we need to think about, right? So you could use something like this to just go through and figure out, is this going to actually meet my needs, right? You think more or less, Clawhammer? More or less on the restaurants, $400. Less? That would be good if it were less. Almost nothing. Well, I have a hard time thinking that a single person is going to. I mean, they'll probably spend $400 on Uber Eats, unfortunately. But anyway, like, you can use this is one of those things that I really encourage people, like, take advantage of systems like this, AI systems, where you can ask questions to just walk you through a process of thinking through information, right? So even just think about, like, taxes. We have the wonderful KC earnings tax, which is a 1% earnings tax in Kansas City. So it's breaking that down for us, right? So here's all the taxes we're going to pay throughout the year, our net income. So off of a $70,000 income, we're going to actually take home $51,735. And so what does that look like every 2 weeks or every week, right? We've got it broken down here on a weekly basis, right? Total deductions, net weekly paycheck. You should be really, hopefully you can have like a 401k or something like that, right? Yeah, it is tough, Ming. And again, if whatever they pay you, I mean, you still want to go through this process, even if it's not enough to cover everything. You want to know what you're going to be short, right? So if you're willing to have two different jobs, then you need to know how that's going to get covered, right? And so take advantage of these tools that we have today. And there's other websites that you could use to do this. I like using something like this because it can help walk you through other things. So like we've got healthcare deductions. So healthcare deduction is let's say 100. Say $100 per paycheck. And let's say retirement, 401k is let's put it at 10%. It'd be great. So this is pre-tax, by the way. Honestly, especially if you're single, I would try to do like a Roth, because that's post-tax, which means your growth happens in a way that doesn't get taxed. So at least currently, until some bozo changes it. Let's see. So subtotal. So monthly income after 401k healthcare is 33. Remaining after expenses, 526. So like that decreases really fast when you've got your healthcare costs, you've got your other things like your retirement income. Let's say gas you spend, maybe just fill up once a week. You got a car, let's say it's $50, so $200 a month. Anyway, I don't want to keep going down this pathway because we're just wasting time now, but like that tells you, I mean, you start seeing this number shrink, right, as you get more and more stuff that you've got to cover. And there's other things, cell phone bill, streaming services, personal care. So it's reminding you of other things that there are going to be costs to, um, and that's going to help you. That's going to help you budget. And again, no matter whether you're one job, whether you do multiple jobs, going through this process and budgeting where your money's going to go is really, really important, so that you know whether that's a good position to take, right? So, yeah, in your last previous roles, I just took whatever because I was really desperate because I just needed experience, but now I'm really cautious and now I know my worth. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what you need to do, Ming. And that doesn't mean that you are always able to get the perfect job right away, right? But sometimes it's worth the wait. I mean, it could be this boot camp that actually ends up opening up the opportunity for you to get into another better experience. So landing your first role is more about experience, and the second is more about salaries than experience. I think that happens a lot. I wish that was not the case. And again, part of that goes back to the whole, reality that not every company is set up for mentoring and things like that, right? It would be great if a company was set up for mentoring, but also with a career path to get you into a mid-level role with them, so that way you actually you don't have to have your second job be your salary job. You could be just a natural progression within that company that becomes a better salary over time. um, that would be the preference. So you get both the experience and the career progression as well. And but even then, so even going through, getting a raise or something like that, you always want to go through and figure out what that's actually going to look like. Because again, let's say you jumped. So we've got the $70,000 example. Let's say, give me the take home on 100K. Oops. Let's see if it figures it out. So it's a lot more money. It's $30,000 increase, right? Um, and but you're also going to pay more in taxes, right? So your weekly paycheck, instead of being nine something, so we earned about yeah. So here, weekly net. So we've got $800 to $300 difference a week. So that's pretty substantial, right? So it's I'm doing the calculation in my head. It's literally printed right here. Duh. Thank you, Claude. So that's something to think about, though. So let's say, I get to where I'm making $300, $350 a week extra, right? Do you have a plan for that? So as you move to that mid-level role, do you have a plan for how you're going to spend that, or are you going to end up blowing that? Like maybe you should increase your 401k or something like that, right? If you don't plan, your money will go, right? No matter what role you're in, no matter how much more you're making, it will get spent. Unless you're just a natural saver, hypochondriac type person, most people tend to spend what they make if they don't have a plan. So have a plan for, even if, let's say they don't have a 401k, right? Let's say they don't have a 401k, like set up an IRA, set up a Roth IRA, and put that money that you would be putting in a 401k into a Roth IRA. Or maybe you have like a side business, and you can set up like a 401. I think it's still a 401k. There's different options, right? So talk to like an actual advisor. This is not accounting advice or anything like that. Obviously, because that's not my profession. But the point is, make a plan. As you're looking towards that next job, or as you're looking towards a pay increase at your current job, do the calculations, plug it into something like this, and figure out what is that actually going to look like, and then make a plan for where that money is going to go. So it's not just for helping you make sure that your first job covers your expenses, or the job that you're looking at is going to cover your expenses. That's important. But even as you grow in your career, constantly be going back and checking to make sure that your expenses are lining up. Because I'll be honest with you, here's something else that happens a lot of times, is your costs will increase, especially, you get married, you have a family, things like that. Costs increase faster than you think they will. And if you're not prepared for that, if you're not constantly keeping an eye on that, and if you're not constantly getting, like, if your company doesn't give you a specific pay raise every year, like some bigger companies, you just kind of know you're going to get at least a 3% or something like that, right? Not every company does that, especially smaller companies. They don't always have a specific progression of giving you a pay raise, and sometimes you have to even ask for it, depending on where you're at. So you can't just assume that your pay is always going to cover your expenses, right? You need to constantly be aware of, as your life progresses, of the expenses that are progressing, that are growing over time, and making sure that you are able to cover that with your salary. One of the worst feelings is looking at your bank account at the end of the month and realizing that you don't have enough to pay for basic needs, right? Food, or utility bill, or something like that, right? Ming says, especially in the UK, you pay endless taxes. Yeah, I don't know what that's like. I mean, sounds horrible. Sounds like it's a lot worse than here, but anyway, the point is, like, most of that stuff can be planned, right? Most of that stuff, generally what you're going to spend. And if you don't know, figure it out over time. Constantly be updating that process, that planning part of your life, because it makes a bigger impact than you think it will. You would be surprised how many developers think they're making good money, but they're spending it and they're not planning their money, and they find themselves in really bad financial positions because they didn't take the time to plan and evaluate where they're actually at, and potentially make difficult decisions that they might have to cut some things out of their life that they enjoy doing. But at the end of the day, we you don't want to end up like the United States federal government. All right, you don't want to be so far in debt that you can't even pay your interest payments, right? If you want to be successful long term in this industry, you need to be able to learn to manage your money. And part of that starts with your accepting a position, making sure that the money that they're offering is going to cover your expenses, and especially, if possible, help you even put some savings back as well. So anyway, went a little bit over, but I think that's an important topic for us to discuss from time to time, and just remind people, just keep your spendings as an MVP. Yeah, exactly. Keep them low, keep them small. Exactly. But no, I think that's an important discussion, both around finding a job, especially your first job as a junior dev, but even just as you go throughout your journey. We need to keep those things in the forefront of our minds to make sure that we're not falling behind, especially, as you move into, building a family and things like that. That all that stuff adds to the expenses. So anyway, thanks guys for jumping on. Good to see you here, Ming and Clawhammer. Have a great afternoon. We'll see you all back here. I should be back here tomorrow. I do go in the office on Wednesdays, but I believe I will be back in time for the weekday roundup, Workday roundup, Workday Recap. Oh, I can't even remember the whole name for the stupid section. Workday Recap. That's what it is. Yeah. Workday Recap here at 4 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. most Mondays through Fridays, here on Twitch and on YouTube. Or if you're watching this later on YouTube, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment in the comments below if you have anything that you'd like to add to the discussion around what we discussed today, around having a good idea of what you need and what you're worth. And there's the lurker. There he is. Welcome, Dan. Thanks for lurking. I'm surprised Dan didn't chime in on the whole financial thing. So, oh well. Anyways, have a great day, guys. I will see you all hopefully tomorrow, and we'll see what we end up talking about then. So, we'll see you.